Since 2009, I have lived on Twitter. It's where I get all my news. It's where I source volunteers and support for the things I'm involved in. I've made a lot of friends on Twitter, some who I interact with in person, or IRL if you're trying to keep that character count down, and some who I've never met in person, may never meet in person, but we interact with each other frequently enough that I still consider them friends. So fast forward to 2012, I have gone into business with a significant other, which I do not recommend under any circumstances, especially if that significant other is a dipshit. And this one was. And we're going through this breakup that's the sort of breakup where about 5 days after we really call it quits for good, he becomes Facebook official with somebody else. My shit's not even out of the apartment yet. We have this business together, screen printing business, and the equipment is in my home. So we have a couple more orders we have to crank out, which means he has to come to my house to do that. And I just really want it to be over with. And we keep setting up times for him to do that, and I have to clear a whole day on the calendar when this happens. And he keeps canceling at the last minute to go out of town with a new girlfriend instead of coming to do that. So we finally land on a day when he doesn't cancel and he's going to come over and run this last order. And by the way, I have to go pick him up because his car got repoed because he's a dipshit. So meanwhile, I have this Twitter friend, one of the ones who lives in my phone who I have not met IRL, and he knows I'm a freelance music writer, and I know this friend because we have music as a common thing in common. And he knows that I really like the band Delta Spirit, and they have a new album coming out, and he says, "Hey, are you covering this new album? Have you heard it yet?" And I said, "No, I didn't pitch it to anybody. It hasn't been assigned to me. I'm busy over here in Pennsylvania breaking up with this dipshit. Don't have time for it. But I would love to hear it." And he says, "Well, I have it. I'd be happy to share it with you on one condition. Can't share it with anybody else." I say, "No problem. I'm not going to share it. Would love to hear it." He shares it with me, and I burn it onto a disc so that I can put it into my car and listen to it while I'm driving around and kind of chill with it for a little bit. So I go to pick up the dipshit, now ex-boyfriend, and by the time I'm sitting outside his place, I really want this to be over with, and I really don't want to talk to him, so I crank up Delta Spirit. He gets in the car. He's also a big Delta Spirit fan, a music head, so he immediately notices, and he's like, "Whoa, what is this? Is this the new one? How did you get this?" I'm like, shit. So I'm fumbling to turn it off and change the subject and whatever. So we get to my house, he prints this order, and he's all finished, and he comes up to the office where I'm working, and he says, "I'm all done. I want to ask you a favor." I'm like, this guy's got fucking balls. I am way past the point of doing anything nice for you. I'm not doing you a favor. And he says, can you make me a copy of that Delta Spirit album? I'm like, absolutely not. I got this on the condition that I wouldn't share it with anybody. I'm not about to break that promise for you. No. And this goes back and forth, and he's like begging, and I just want him out of my life. So finally I'm like, fine, I will make you a copy. So I put a disc in, I'm burning it, and I say, don't stand here looking at me. Go down and make one more check, make sure you're not leaving anything behind, because once you leave, you're never coming back. So he goes and does that, and I'm sitting there fuming, smoke coming out of my ears, and the disc finishes burning, it pops out. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, fuck this guy. So I reach over on the spindle of blank CDs, and I pick up a blank one, and I put it in an envelope, and I write Delta Spirit, and I'm like, And because this is the most devious and vindictive thing I've ever done in my life, and because I have no poker face, he comes walking back in the room, and I'm like handing him the disc, giggling my head off. He gets in the car, we drive back to his place. I'm giggling the whole way, and he gets out of the car. He's got his blank CD that he doesn't know is blank. And he leans down and he says, "Hey, thanks again for this CD." I'm like, uh-huh. And I start pulling away, and he says, "And I promise I won't share it with anyone." And I pull away and I say, "I know you won't."